Abdullah ibn Jubair. Anybody heard this story before? Abdullah ibn Jubair. Yes, because I think you were at one of my talks, so you can't say anything. Abdullah ibn Jubair, he's talking about a maghazi. He's saying that we went on a martial expedition with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he says, I was in my tent. I come out of my, so when you go on a martial expedition, like maybe every 30 miles, they would stop and then, set up camp, and, the fires are going, they're cooking and gathering water and doing all the things that they're doing. So he has his own tent. So he comes out of his tent, and lo and behold, there's a circle of women right in front of his tent. He sees them, and he says that, ajabtu, like I was amazed by them, like, oh, ooh. So he goes back into his tent, and he gets suited and booted. He says he put on his finest wear that he had. He comes out of the tent. He goes and he sits with the women. What's up, y'all? After a little while, who comes up on the gathering? Rasulullah himself. And he says, Ya Abu Abdullah, what are you doing? He said, Ya Rasulullah, I lost my camel. I was sitting here with the ladies to ask them, had they seen my camel who constantly runs away? And Rasulullah didn't say anything. He just walked away. But later on that night, when he saw him again, he says, Ya Abu Abdullah, did you find your camel? No, Ya Rasulullah, I did not find my camel. Every day until they reached Medina, Rasulullah would find him and say, Ya Abu Abdullah, did you find your camel? No, Wallah, Ya Rasulullah, I did not find it. So finally he said, I became ashamed of Rasulullah keep asking me this question. He's like, I'm going to be like Michael Jackson and just say, yo, man, leave me alone. Right? So he says, I'm just going to avoid Rasulullah. So he stopped going to the Jama'ah prayer and everything. He would still go when he knew that Rasulullah wasn't in there. So he goes into the masjid. He looks in the masjid, Rasulullah not in there. He goes in to make his prayer. While he's in his prayer, Rasulullah comes in. Because Rasulullah like if this is the masjid here, these are the entrances, like the door here, the door here, the door here. Those were the entrances to the rooms of his wives. Most of his wives had like an entrance from the masjid. So Rasulullah comes into the masjid. So he says to himself, I'm going to prolong my prayer. Rasulullah makes 2 rakats. It comes, sits down right next to him as he's praying, and he says, Ya Abu Abdullah, take as long as you like. I'm waiting for you. So he's like, okay, game over. He finishes his prayer. Rasulullah said, Ya Abu Abdullah, did you find your camel? He says, Ya Rasulullah, I never lost my camel. He said, but listen to what he says, all right? He says, Ya Rasulullah, when I saw that gathering of women, it reminded me of my days before I became Muslim. I used to write love poetry and recite my poetry in gatherings like that. But he says, Ya Rasulullah, I have repented, I will never do it again. Rasulullah then said, Oh Allah, forgive Abu Abdullah. And he said, just don't do it again. There's a couple of lessons to learn from this story. Number one, people have backgrounds, man. People have filters, including the Sahaba. They came into the deen with stuff that they wrestled with, that they had to overcome. And Rasulullah didn't just call them out. Like, yo, man, I better not, why are you lying to me? You know what I mean? Like, he didn't do that. He didn't say haram alaik and all this stuff. He just kind of like went along with it. And some of the scholars about this hadith, they say the reason why Rasulullah kept pressing him was because he lied to the messenger of Allah. And that's like a huge sin. There's a lot that can be said about that, right? The story of Tabuk and all of that stuff, and Ka'ab bin Malik, and we know different people who didn't tell the truth about their situation, and some people that did tell the truth. When you lie to the Messenger of Allah, it's a big deal. So Rasulullah is actually giving him another chance to fix it. And he didn't stop. So he's actually, and that's why as soon as he said, Ya Rasulullah, man, I made a mistake, he asked Allah oh Allah, forgive him. As soon as he admitted what he did, he asked Allah to forgive him. Are we like that with our youth? Are we like that? Because we live in a time that our youth are experiencing things humanity has never had to experience. There's going to be more mistakes. There's going to be more problems. There's going to be more things that they have to heal from, that they have to overcome. How do we respond?